And unfortunately, it is true that the integrity of certain players in the IT industry leaves much to be desired. And then we get into the data itself. Here's an example of a chart of accounts. It's roughly alphabetical, but not entirely, because we've got a W there, and L there, and S there. And we have, from a logic point of view, stand and stone, which is a consumable, services, which is professional services. Down here we've got skips and cages, which is a huge capital item costing tens of millions of rands or dollars. And down there we have smelting and refining, which is an even bigger item. There is absolutely no logic or structure in that list, and therefore it is almost impossible to make logic or structure out of that from a reporting and management point of view. For example, scraper rope is a child of scrapers, yet it's sitting above scrapers. In this particular organization, a young lady with a Bachelor of Commerce degree and 5 years experience reputedly spent 6 months to prototype an income statement in Excel for an expensive consultant to set up. I have it that this chart of accounts should have been structured based on the fundamentals of how the chart of accounts should look from a strategic management point of view, and the income statement should just have dropped out at the end of the process. That one example is the difference between something that, once it's properly designed, is simple and easy to use and gives huge value in management information, and something like this that is an ongoing expensive overhead to maintain. In this particular example, when I started the investigation, the chief executive said to me, "We have just started this operation. We have one tunnel that we want to track the costs on. We can't even track that. In a year's time, we will have numerous tunnels." And so you can put your business at risk just with something as simple as that. And so I want to come back to this example and elaborate. Here's a really nice wooden door with smart hinges and nice screws. And I don't know what your stores look like. In South Africa, we have stores where these sorts of things are arranged either in little boxes or in little plastic packets. So you can go into the store, go immediately to the shelf, and get what you need. If you walked into the store and the screws were arranged like that, I suspect you would go to another store. But that's what a lot of organizations' data looks like. That's the example that I just showed you on the previous screen. Or else it's piles of bulky files with no proper classification that you've got to page through and page through in order to find what you're looking for. So what we're really looking for is something like that library where you can immediately go and pull the book that you're looking for off the shelves, or a neatly racked cabling system, something that is orderly and easily to navigate. That's what you're looking for. Here's an example from the same organization, what you might do from a strategic point of view: investment, exploration, development, operation, processing, marketing, down to administration, dividends and taxes. And you would break operation in the plant component into a logical structure. And you would carry this logical structure for mobile plant into assets, into the liabilities for maintenance and lease contracts, into plant maintenance, materials management, and so forth. If you try and add this logic and this order onto this data, it becomes a nightmare. Like the cabling example here, you're putting cables all over the place and it becomes impossible to see what's going on, and very easy for things to go wrong. What you really want is a logical structure in each module where the logic is followed precisely the same, and you either have one-to-one or many-to-one mappings into the general ledger in such a way that all your reporting flows together and can be pulled out in a powerful and effective way. Let me tell you about a few failed implementations that I've come across. A medical insurance company, we call them medical aids in South Africa. They're called various things around the world. Did a merger, took on another company, put it onto their existing ERP. Something went horribly wrong. Something in the configuration didn't work properly. Very quickly they were unable to pay out medical claims. Eventually it got so bad that claims were taking up to 9 months to get paid. In the meantime, the doctors were taking legal action against the medical scheme's members, the patients, because they were not getting paid. A certain point was reached where the major organizations that were using those schemes said that's enough. And they took, in one case that I know of, 2,000 members and their families and walked across to another medical aid. In less than 2 years, that company almost went out of business. Another example, organization that provided contract secretarial staff for other organizations. They put in place a new ERP. The software they put in was not properly tested. It got overloaded very quickly. They were behind in their invoicing. Their cash flow went through the floor. And they decided to charge their customers interest on overdue accounts, which still doesn't make sense to me because it was not the customer's fault. The invoices had gone out late. And then they didn't check the calculation and they charged exorbitant interest. And most of their customers left in the matter of a few months. That company also nearly wiped out. The mining company I touched on just now could not get the management information they needed to manage the development of a new mine and would not get the information they needed for operating that mine. In that case, they were faced with the need to re-implement their system. And then another case, a wholesale chemical distribution company. By the time I got involved, they had lost a customer who was spending millions a month with them.